Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to do a watercolor wash and gradient with watercolor. A wash refers to an area with watercolor that's light and even, and a gradient refers to moving two colors together. So this is a gradient between green and yellow. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this for your graffiti project because it can give the illusion that your letters were sort of airbrushed. What we're going to be doing next class is adding the spray paint to these, so we want to make sure we keep our colors really light so the spray paint actually shows up. So a couple of things that you're going to need. You're going to need your watercolor cakes. You're going to need a place to mix your own colors. So I'm going to use the top of my watercolor container. You may need to clean this off at the sink and wipe it down if it's messy. You're going to need a brush, which I'll give to you, and a water container with clean water. You can continually keep your water clean so that it's not browning your colors, and absolutely need a paper towel. It's just as important with watercolor as the water. So that's your setup. A few things about the watercolor cakes. They may look very picked over. They are. But don't be fooled, the color is really concentrated. So even like this blue here, where it looks like there's nothing left, you can get a lot of blue from in here. So don't be fooled if it looks kind of worn out. So the first thing that I'm going to do is mix the two colors that I'm going to be creating a gradient with. So I'm going to mix a yellow and I'm going to mix this kind of lime green. You don't want to, when you're creating a wash, you don't want to take directly from the cakes because the color is going to be inconsistent. Sometimes it's going to be really watery, and as that water starts to dry, the color is going to get darker, and that's going to mean that your watercolor doesn't have this smooth, even appearance. It's going to look a little bit streaky, and we don't want that. So I'm going to mix my colors on here and work from my palette. I'm going to start by just adding water droplets to the cakes just to activate the color. So I'm just adding some water onto these. I'm going to be using green, yellow, and I didn't do this on the first two, but I may demonstrate just an added bonus here with some turquoise. So only activating the ones that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to mix a consistent set of colors here. So I'm going to take some green. I want to make lime green, which is going to be mostly yellow. And I'm just going to take a little bit and start moving it to my palette. Be generous. Better to mix too much of a color than to run out. And then I'm going to add lots of yellow to that. Notice I'm cleaning my brush. I should move my water container closer. I'm cleaning my brush in between so that I'm not constantly muddying the colors. And you can use the outside. I can tell I want this to get a little bit limier, but you can use your sheet to test because we're going to be cutting your letters out, so you can test anywhere on this sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and just sample it. And I think I want to get a little more yellow in there. So I'm going to come in here and add a bit more yellow to this. That looks good. So I'm going to use that, and then I'm going to also pull a little yellow over here. And again, the reason I'm mixing it on this separate space is so that I know the color I'm taking is pretty consistent. All right, I'm going to move this off to the side so I have some space here. So I'm going to demonstrate the U for you. And one of the things to know about watercolor is that a wet color next to a wet color is going to blend, whether you like it or not. And we want that to happen here. We want our green to blend with our yellow, so you want to make sure you keep your paper nice and wet. The first thing I'm going to do is just kind of ghost paint. So I'm just pre-wetting the U. I'm not going to do the whole word because my end letters would be dry before I had a chance to finish. So I'm just going to do the U, and I'm going to start in the area where they merge. So I'm going to start down here, and I'm going to apply green. Notice it's really wet and fluid. That's good. And then I'm going to apply yellow down here. These colors are a little bolder than what I did before. Now, you can leave it as is and kind of let it blend together like that. Or you can come back with your paintbrush and kind of smooth things out. So I'm going to come back in with my paintbrush, making sure it's really wet, it's very light, it's not streaky. If I wanted to fix up the area here, I can come through with a paintbrush and kind of blend it together a little bit, but I actually like the way that looks, so I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to finish with my yellow down here. So the keys are just keeping your paper very wet, keeping your brush really wet, and mixing your colors here instead of taking directly from the cake as you do this. If you get any puddles, you can take your brush, wring it out, and come back through here and kind of suck up some of those inconsistent colors. So your goal is to do your whole word. You don't have to use two colors, but you can. Your goal is to do your whole word, and I'm actually going to do a little bit of turquoise in the top while this is still wet. I'm going to do kind of an added bonus so that my letters are still very, and I'm going to use a little of this color. Mix a little turquoise in there, and at the very top, just with the top of my brush, I'm going to add some green.